Hello, Internet. So, there's this thing. It can eat away at the rest of your life before you've even lived it. And I'm not talking about any kind of like physical disease or anything like that. It's all up here. And, just to cut to the chase for the impatient people in the audience, regret. I mean, I know there are a lot of things that can like stop you from living your life before you've lived it. Like fear, uncertainty, doubt. But in a way, regret is like the source of most of your fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And then there's just like a lack of self-awareness. But so far, this entire series has been about self-awareness. I know I kind of chose a bad title when I called it Random Thoughts, but at the time, it was just like a things that I think of randomly. Apparently, I think about self-awareness a lot. But regret. How can regret be the source of your fears, uncertainties, and doubts? And there's this corn leaf right here. I kind of chose a bad spot to sit, but I wanted to get the corn husks on camera because it's growing. So that this is annoying. Let's just move that out of camera for a little bit. Anyway. Oh, I think I broke it. Oh well. One leaf. Anyway. Let's choose like a very extreme example. You know, the stock market crash of, what was it, 1920? When a lot of Wall Street investors were jumping out of windows. A failure on their part caused them to literally stop living the rest of their lives. All because they made a mistake. And they misjudged the market. They lost money. I mean, losing never hurt. I mean, never feels good. It always hurts. But, like, the fear of having to face up to that loss, admit it, and then keep on going, it was just too much for them. And moving away from that example to less extreme, everyday kind of situations, again, losing never feels good. It's kind of like martial arts. You get in the ring, you're going to get hit. It never feels good. It always hurts. But it's guaranteed. But for a lot of people, once they get hit a few times, it's like, I don't want to do that anymore. They give up. They figuratively jump out the window. Just walk away. Stop. Because they don't want to experience the loss. They don't have to experience the pain of having to deal with losing. That's the fear. Uncertainty. Let's face it, life is uncertain. You make a choice. You have no idea if you're making the right choice. I've done a video on that. It's on the playlist somewhere. I mean, life is full of uncertainty. You never know how things are going to play out. You can have an idea, but you never really know. And for a lot of people, after having suffered losses at their own hands, the thought of moving into something that they can't completely predict, it's too much for them. They walk away. They figuratively jump out the window. Doubt, that's a lot of self-doubt, really. You know, whenever you make a mistake, screw up, lose, there's always this voice in the back of your head that starts going like, if you do that again, you might lose again. If you try, you might lose. That's the doubt. Self-doubt. It all comes from dwelling on your losses, regretting them, wishing that you hadn't done them, wishing that you could rewrite the past. And here's the thing. I was going to title this Regret is Poison, but it's actually more like a virus. Because when people live with regret long enough, they start to get bitter, cynical, pessimistic, paranoid. And then they start judging other people. You shouldn't do that. You could screw up if you do that. See how you screwed up? See how you messed that up? Seeing other people's mistakes kind of reminds them of their own mistakes, the mistakes they regret, and they get angry. But they don't want to get angry at themselves. Because you can only be angry at yourself for so long before you just want to be angry at something else. Psychologists call it displacement or misplacement or something. There's a fancy, sciencey word for it, but I can't remember what it is. I can look it up, but well, my device is right there. So I can't do that right now. Anyway. When you're the person that okay, let's start over. When you're the person that someone's like criticizing and basically venting their regrets on, you start to notice your own mistakes. You start to feel bad about your own mistakes. You start to regret your own mistakes because someone else is telling you to. And then you get the fear, the uncertainty, and the doubt. Probably with fewer and less severe mistakes. And this goes from person to person to person, parent to child, and so on and so on and so on. It's amazing that society has actually done anything in the past 1,000 years because regret spreads so easily. But here's the thing, you can fight it. Because if you know that regret leads to fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and inaction. See, here's the thing. If you don't take action, you can't lose. But you also can't win. If you don't take action, nothing happens. And sure, nothing happening is better than losing, but it's worse than winning. You want to win. I mean, you don't want to get to the end of your life and say, I did nothing. You want to get to the end of your life and say, I tried as hard as I could, and this is what happened. But at a certain point, I mean, okay, I know that there are going to be some like extremists somewhere who are like, well, shouldn't there be some things that you should regret? Okay, yeah. There are some actions that people should regret, but we're not talking about those. Like, here's a practical example from my own life. I cannot remember the year. 2000 something or other. It was like 2002? Somewhere around there. When I got my bachelor's degree, I had student debts, but I also had some leftover grant money. And I pondered the idea, I could just like put that in the stock market. I don't know anything about that. I'll lose my money. Fast forward to 2019, I'm putting like even less money because I have. See what I did with the grant money that I had left over. I left it in the bank. And I used some of it to fund graduate school. And then I lived on the rest. And when my mom's health started declining, that had to go to medical bills. And now the money's not there anymore because I spent it all. So fast forward to 2019, I put even less money, because I have less money, into cryptocurrency. And I'm learning. Over a decade ago, wow. Speaking is hard sometimes. Over a decade ago, I could have put more money into the stock market and actually learned something then. Now, okay, I've lost money, but I've also made money. And here's the thing. Here's a practical way of dealing with regret. Regret, again, words are hard. I'm coming off of restaurant week, which is 10 days of insanity. I'm a little fatigued. Anyway, instead of looking at that money as something that I've lost, it is something that I've invested in education and practical experience. By the way, practical experience goes farther than education. Now, just think about the people who spend 10, 20 grand going to economics or business school or whatever to learn how to get into the stock market. And then they get out into the real world and realize that 90% of what they learned in the books and in the classroom, 50 years out of date. And then they start getting into the markets. They have zero experience. They lose. They're basically spending money on more education and practical experience. I spent a lot less because I skipped the whole business school thing. Anyway, getting back on topic. A loss is not something that should be regretted. It is education. It's an investment in education and practical experience. Take the lessons that you learned. You should have done this, or you shouldn't have done that. Okay, you can't fix the past. But when you move forward and try again, because if you really want to be in the game, you can't give up. So when you get to the point where you try again, you have more knowledge and more experience. You know what to do, what not to do. And yet you may lose again. That's life. Going with the martial arts example, I can't remember if I already used a martial arts example in this video or not. I've run this video in my head so many times that it's all blurring together. I don't know what I actually did and what I just did up here. Anyway, using a martial arts example, if you really want to practice martial arts, you're going to get hit. It's going to hurt. But if you really want to be in the game, it's part of the game. Getting hit is part of the game. The hurt is part of the game. It's how you learn. It's how you get better. And it's how you get better at managing the hurt, managing the losses. The people that never lose, they're not really in the game. They're just playing.